WDDO-AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
It is now time for the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwenette Westbrooks and Mr. Dumas.
Good afternoon and welcome to another segment of the NAACP Truth Show. I'm Willie Dumas, your host. I'll be joined later by President Westbrooks, as well as a special guest that's joining us today. Hope you're enjoying this beautiful sunny day as we've been celebrating all the month of March as Black Women History Month, or Women's History Month, if you would. And so women have been celebrated all week, and we will continue to celebrate until the end of the month. Also, here in the city of Macon, we're celebrating the Cherry Blossom Festival. The Cherry Blossom Parade was on yesterday, and the NAACP, we were participants in the parade, and we had a great time. People were out. And I think that I've seen more people out this particular time since COVID. And so people are venturing out a little more, getting out and kind of seeing the sights and kind of enjoying the day. And I hope you're doing so also. I know there's a number of events that are being planned throughout the city as it relates to the Cherry Blossom. And I'm sure those schedules are floating out there so that you can pick an activity of your choice and go and celebrate everyone here in the city of Macon and celebrate the Cherry Blossom Festival. A lot going on, particularly around the country, as we know that war is still in the air in Ukraine, and gas prices seem to be affected the most. That's the most effect we've seen here in the mid-state, how gas prices are on the rise. And so we've got to be very frugal, if you would, as it relates to travel and those kinds of things, to make sure we're not overextending ourselves. And our prayers and our thoughts do go out to the Ukrainian people who are being affected by this war that they're in. Today, we have a special guest that will be joining us. It's no stranger to the NAACP. It's the state president, Ms. Barbara Pierce, who will be joining us. I don't know if she's on the line already or if she's already joined us by Skype, but she will be our special guest today. And we'll be talking about the event that is being put together this weekend down in Crawford County. And so I understand that I just got a message here. President Pierce says, I can't see the video. She says she can't see us. And so can you hear us, President Pierce? Okay, so we're having a little difficulty getting her on, but as our technicians kind of tend to that, I'll continue to tell you a little bit about the event. Okay, so our host is about to bring her on. So, okay, there she goes. She's popped up on my screen there. President Pierce, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. It wasn't that, it was me. You couldn't see me because I had the camera was blocked. And so I was trying to say, I'm here.
Hey, look, we got all these technical things these days we have to deal with, you know, that we're not regularly dealing with on a regular basis.
That's right.
So
we're getting better.
Absolutely. I hope you're enjoying this beautiful day today. And I know you've got some interesting thoughts to give us today as it relates to the celebratory celebration over in Crawford County. And so if you would just kind of chime in and let us know, you know, our listening audience know what's going on.
Okay, I'm not sure what's going on in Crawford County. That's one on me. I'm not really sure. I have no idea. There's different celebrations of women that are going on all over the state of Georgia. However, we have something that is going on Saturday.
I got you.
Yes, we have a women's retreat. It's virtual. That's going on Saturday. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have entertainment, awards, legislators, and youth. And so it should be pretty awesome. It starts Saturday at 11 o'clock. You would have to go to naacp.org no, excuse me, I'm sorry, NAACPGA.org, and pull up the link. It would come up under the Women's Virtual, and the link you click on, you go right there, and you get to see all the women that we honored.
Wonderful. Now, does a person have to register for this event? It's all virtual?
It's all virtual. No, you do not have to register. All you have to do is click on the link, which is on our website, and go right to it.
Wonderful. I know that we've been celebrating women all this month for the month of March, and just been some great, exciting things happening as it relates to women. We know about the confirmation hearing that's being held for Sister Jackson today.
Oh, yes. I was on there. Yes.
Yeah. And we're very excited about that, of course, and all the accomplishments that women have contributed. We've been celebrating all month so far.
Thank you so much. And thank you for acknowledging us. We have been in the background for centuries, and now it's girl power.
Absolutely. I think we've always recognized the contributions that women have made, but we haven't just given them their props, so to speak.
And it's always like after they're gone, we make a big deal, like Rosa Parks and Coretta Scott and some of the other ones. We make a big deal after they're gone, but there are women that are still fighting civil rights and for justice and equality that is going on now. And I think that those women actually also need to be recognized as well as the unsung heroes. And so that's what we're doing. If you go on the website, you'll see a little bit of everything. You'll see a little bit of the old, the present, and the future. And also the young people, we have to give the young ladies, some kind of inspiration and helping them and mentoring them, because they are the next leaders. And so that's what I try to do, is to get the young people to come out. So you'll see on this virtual, we'll have some young people on there, young authors, just young people doing, whatever. And so we have to get them ready.
Absolutely. And the NAACP has been instrumental in involving the youth in our chapters. And so for our listening audience out there, if you have a youth and you want them to have some good leadership skills and some good upbringing, let them join the youth programs in this city as well as there where you are.
And I just learned that we have 80% of the women are presidents of our state conference here in Georgia. And when I heard that, I was like, whoa, that is awesome. So I said, we have to do something to honor them to have made it that far. Some of us are first. Like I was the first back in the 90s of my unit, being the first president of the NAACP. And I'm the second president of the state of Georgia. So we're coming up, and we want to bring some of the young people up right behind us.
Well, that slogan that says, not by power, not by might, but by my spirit, says the Lord. We're finding out that it's not so much the amount of strength, a person has, but the fortitude and the inspiration to take the lead and do a lot of the things that need to be done. With COVID coming on the scene, a lot of people have taken a back seat as far as leadership positions, but women such as yourself have taken a leading role and stepped out on faith and continued the work that has to be done. And so we applaud you for that.
Thank you so much.
Now, what are some of the people we should expect to see during this virtual presentation that you're having?
It's interesting that you asked that question, because Miss Gwen Westbrooks, the president of the Macon Bib, would also be there. She's also going to be an opening song for us. And if you haven't heard her sing before, you don't want to miss this event, because she has some vocals on her, and she will be starting it off. And she's also one of the women that we have honored as an NAACP woman, she's the president of the Macon Bib, and she has been doing a fantastic job. For her to ask me to come on, I was like, of course I'm going to come on. So yeah, she's one of them. We'll have some that'll be getting some awards. There are outstanding women that have been doing an outstanding job since I've been president, since August. We definitely want to give them something, and all of our presidents will be getting certificates of participation, just to show them that we appreciate everything that they do.
Right, because many times I know our local chapter, with Gwen being president, a lot of times people don't see the behind the scenes work that has to take place in order for a lot of the complaints that we get to be resolved. There's a lot of legwork, that has to be done. And I think many times people have a misconception about the NAACP that, it's a paid position, that people get paid for the service we provide. But this is an all volunteer organization, and the time and the energy that's put forth has to do with the integrity of the individual and the drive of the individuals that do the work. And so when you talk about celebrating women such as President Westbrook, they put in a lot of time and a lot of effort, and they should be, rewarded and at least recognized for that work that they do, as well as yourself.
And we kind of have a different style than you guys do. I noticed that a lot of guys like to get out in the street and protest and, and make a lot of noise. We're kind of we're nourishers, so we can kind of go to the table and talk and get things done in an easier way. And I saw that in that effect, I've gotten a lot done since I've been the education chair for 2 years. I've been the vice president for 2 years and now the president for 8. And I never really had to go out walking and protest and everything. I just go to the table. I call people up and say, can I come in and talk to you? And this is going to be unacceptable by the NAACP. And sometimes that's more effective. And that's what us women do. It's not always about the streets.
Right. And the firmness and the exactness of getting to the core of what's really the issue and resolving that. I know we've done that in the last couple of days. Mm-hmm. We've had a number of issues as it relates to evictions, as it relates to discrimination on the workforce, in the workplace, things of this nature, which are very sensitive issues and issues that many times takes that, kit glove approach in order to get the type of results that you're looking for. And so I can really relate to what you're speaking about as it relates to how many times women approach the situation.
A little differently. Yes. We had a problem down in Savannah a couple of months ago, and it was about the porn books being on the shelf in the libraries for middle school and high school. And they wanted me to come down to Savannah. It was a group of Republicans, and I was a little skeptical about that. So what I did, I just started making telephone calls, and I got in touch with the superintendent of school, which is a Black superintendent, and we talked about it. And the next thing I know, I got a call from that same party saying, thank you so much. You're our angels. They are taking the books off the shelf. And I didn't even have to burn any gas. I didn't have to go there, just know who to talk to. So a lot of times we can get things done without just, beating the streets all the time and making a lot of noise and tearing up stuff. We don't really have to do that. Mm-hmm.
And then also what that does too, it sets an example for our young people as to different ways to resolve conflict, conflict resolution. A lot of times we get angry before we get anything done. And this type of approach is a way of kind of filtering through the anger and getting to the root of the problem. So it's a very good approach. And it's one that I think our youth will be able to strive and do even greater things by learning from that example.
Right. So it's a hard job. But like I said, some people are born with certain things and some people are not. I think I was really born with leadership. I've been leading since I was a kid. I was the one that would get out in the streets and organize a bunch of kids and let's clean up this lot because we don't have a playground, so we can have somewhere to play. That was that child.
Wow.
So, I think that is something that I was blessed with, and I just want to be able to move the state conference forward by using, all the beliefs that I've been doing all my life.
Absolutely. And so I know that many times in leadership roles, we kind of implement our leadership styles within our core group or within your organization. And so I'm pretty sure you have a well-knitted organization there that's ready to do the work and ready to go after what's out there. And it takes that.
We all have the same mindset. The people that, when you become the president, you get to recommend the people that you feel that you can work with and move the state conference forward. And I have done that. I was only able so far to replace half of them because I only had like a few months right now going forward, hopefully we can be able to replace, all the people that we need to replace. But the ones that I have, they took off running. And when they
Wow.
took off running, we've been doing criminal justice, housing, Veterans Affairs. You see what I'm saying? Everything is moving forward now only because you pick the right people. They have to have the same mindset.
Right. And that's one of the other things you mentioned that a lot of our listening audience may not be aware of is all the hats that the NAACP actually wears. We don't just deal with this discrimination, and we deal with education. We deal with housing. Educational things.
And right now we're tackling voter suppression.
Yes.
And that's a biggie. And so one of the things that I'm going to be doing that other presidents, they tried to tackle it in their own way, but I feel like education is, like you just said, education is the key to it. So we are going to be having an all-unit education on this voter suppression by letting people know what they can do and what they can't do and how we can do it easier. Okay, if
Right.
they say we can't have water, there's a way you can bring your own water, or you can have a stand that's 150 feet away and get your water before you get in line. There's other ways that you can do it to not make a big deal about it, because we got to stop being the victim. We have to figure out a way without being the victim all the time.
And history has shown that we're an adaptable people. We can adapt to things, and we've always had to fight for certain things. And so as a people, we just, as you mentioned, we change up the game, and that keeps us viable. But we don't want to give up. We don't want to let legislation keep us from voting, keep us from doing the things that we can do. I know on last week's show, we talked about, the absentee voting and some of the changes that has occurred with absentee voting, where, you can't have someone take your ballot to the box, and drop it off, that you have to do it personally. And so we try to keep the awareness out there. And I'm sure your branch is doing the same thing.
And that's what I'm talking about, the education part. We needed all our presidents and all our political action cheers and anybody that has to do with the voter registration against suppression, is that we have to teach them to make sure that they understand what we have to do to get the people out to vote, to make it convenient for them, and so that everybody would vote, and encourage everybody to vote, regardless to whatever obstacles they put in front of us. We have to be able to go around those obstacles to do what we're set out to do. And that's been, that's always been the hardest part, is that when a lot of us are not used to change, so we just give up. We just give up. But we have to keep going, because there's always going to be obstacles out there, as long as we are called the minorities. And even though we're not the minorities, but we've been called that for many years. And so we have to educate. It's educate. And once we do that, we'll be able to teach our young people how to do it at an early age. Right now, I have a program that runs in the summer that's called Clay. And one of the things that we do is the arts. It's Children's Literacy and Arts Initiative. Using that tool, we're able to do governmental things. So we have the kids to have mock trials and teach them all about voter registration and everything at the ages of 8 to 13 years old. So when they get 18 years old, they know what to do and what they expect. And the most thing that you have to learn is who to vote for. Don't just vote for somebody because they're Black. Don't just vote for somebody because they're popular. Learn all about that person and what they can do for the community to make the community better. And we teach those kids that at an early age, so that when they get 18, not only they register to vote, they'll know how to vote.
Absolutely. And also, a lot of times people vote parties, and you have to really see, what you're actually getting through that candidate. And so, as you mentioned, the educational piece is going to be very important, that people research candidates, that they don't just wait till election time to decide who they're going to vote for.
That's right.
But now is the time to kind of look at those candidates, see what their platforms are, and that way you have a better feel of who you're going to vote for and why you're going to vote for them. So
that's right. And on this here virtual that we having on Saturday, we will have legislators on there talking about House bills, because that's another thing that we need to know. Sometimes they go to the polls and they just vote for it just to be voted and don't know what they're voting for. And you may be voting a House bill that we don't need, or a House bill that we need that you didn't vote for. So they need to know. They only vote for the names, but when they get down to where they have to read, they're like, oh, forget that, you know. And it could be very important. And so they will be talking about that on Saturday. We will have some female legislators that are talking about that on Saturday.
So if a person really wants to get a good feel of the voting process and some of the new laws that have been implemented, this would be the ideal virtual meeting for them to get that information.
That's right. That's right. And if a guy comes on, we're not going to block him out. You know, we need our men too. We need our men. You know, we need them right beside us. There's no such thing as we can do it by ourselves. And so, yeah.
All of us working together.
All of us working together. That's the only way we're going to win. We have to work together in order to win, men and women. We know we're using this Women's Month just to highlight women that may have been missed, but we need our men too. We need to have a Men's Month also. I would support that.
Right. When are we going to get our month? Will we get it before?
You got to fight for that. You got to fight for that. I'm just holding on to what we got right now.
Absolutely. But it's so wonderful that, you know, that you're taking the time to put together the educational piece that is helpful to the community. NAACP has always tried to educate the community on various things that they need to know. I know a topic came up with President Westbrooks and myself. We were discussing as it relates to voting. You know, a lot of times when they put a certain law in place, it's there for a reason. It's either a deterrent or it can be a stumbling block. Now, as it relates to providing IDs, has anyone discussed the implications of IDs not matching? For instance, a person's address on their driver's license may not match with their ballots that they
because they haven't changed their address on their IDs. I don't know how that's gonna work out. I never had that problem before, but I don't know how that's gonna work out, because I have had an ID with a different address, but they didn't. I don't know, because maybe it's just the people that's doing it at that time didn't notice it, but they let me go ahead on and vote. I kind of like said that I had just moved and I didn't get a chance to change my address. So I don't know how critical that's going to be, but I'm sure that's probably going to play in this voting process.
Right. And those are some of the things, you know, it's almost as if your numbers, you lose a few going through the process, particularly when it's something new that you're doing, because you don't really know how much scrutiny will be given.
Right. There's two things that has changed drastically, and that's the redistricting. What we just went through, NAACP is in litigation about that. What they have done is shift over where some people that we would have been able to vote for before of color, we won't be able to vote for this time. So that has become very critical, and I don't know how that's going to work out between now and November, but it is in court. Litigation is standing now. We just got a lot of things we really have to pay attention to before it happens. When we start seeing things, we have to get out there. And I don't think it was enough of us out there fighting against redistricting. And then what happens is, before you know it, it's done. It's a done deal.
Right.
Then you got to go in the courts to fight it. But is that going to be after the election? Because that really is not going to help us none if we still have to go and vote the way that they have intended us to vote. So that's one of the things that are happening. The other thing is that hoping that everybody join us when we have these classes on voter registration and what you can do and what you can't do. And I just thought about that when you was talking about the IDs, because a lot of people don't know. And also, we have made a request that we have people standing at all the precincts, that people need people to watch the precincts. And we're talking about lawyers. We're talking about volunteer lawyers to stand at these precincts to make sure that everything is going smoothly. But these units would have to report it to us to let us know what units are needed, where it's needed at. Because some units may not be having problems, but some in the rural areas like Waycross and Telfair, those places down that way, they've been having problems for years. And so they may want to request that. But if so, I thought that was a great idea to have a lawyer there to be able to say, nope, this is not going to happen today. And then they won't have to worry about after the election. Then they have to go back and, contest the race and all that if they have somebody there that can catch it from the beginning. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah. And many times, people tell you, they give you certain information at the polls. If they say, no, you can't do this, and people don't know if there's a recourse, they just, they just react to what's being told. And so it would be wonderful to have that legal representation that can interpret the law as far as it relates to voting. I want to read something on our message board. It says it's important to do the address change so you can vote in your district because under the new law, provisional ballots start at 5.
That's Ms. Bryan is giving us some information that she knows, and that's very good. That's very good information. We need to go ahead and do that now. Don't wait until the day before it's time to vote, knowing that you need to do an address change. You need to do that now.
Absolutely.
Plenty of time to do it now and be prepared for it. Except for the elections, the local elections that they'll be having in May. There's some Metro Atlanta elections that are going on in May. So you need to do that. I think it has to be 30 days prior to it before you change your address or whatever in order to vote, so they can have it on the list when you go to vote. So they need to change that now.
Right. They'll be pushing it close to that deadline.
That's right. They'll wait till right into the deadline and then want to know why their names are not on there correctly with the address. So they need to do that now if they have May, because I think they have the first one I know locally in Atlanta is like for the senators, the state senators is like May the 24th is their election day. That's the primaries.
Right.
That would be the primaries. And so for the primaries, you want to go ahead and do any kind of change or anything, you need to do it now. And
we know local politics is just as important as national politics. And so show up for those.
Local is more important.
More important. Absolutely.
That's right. That's correct. Exactly. A lot of people think that's just the presidential race. No. Those mayors, those council people or commissioners, that's just as important.
Absolutely. Well, we certainly thank you for taking out the time and opportunity to come and tell us about this Saturday event. And if you would just go ahead and give them some more information on how they can log in and get set up to be a part of this virtual session that you're having before we go off the air.
So if you're in a unit, it has been sent out to all the units, the link. But if you're not in the unit, all you have to do is go to NAACPGA.org. And on there, it would have the link that all you have to do is just click on it. You don't have to register or anything, and you'll come in. That's it.
Absolutely.
Okay? And if it is a waiting room, and I think it is a waiting room, you'll be brought in immediately. So it should work out really well. But that's all you have to go to, unless you are attached to a Georgia local unit, and they all will have the unit link for you.
So the men can check in. We can check in too.
Yes, you can. We're not going to put a sign up and say men not allowed. And we will bring you in, because the information that we'll be talking about, you need to know also.
Absolutely.
As far as awards is concerned, we're highlighting the women.
Absolutely.
We're not going to put a no male sign up there.
Thank you so much, President Pierce, for being with us today. And we look forward to the presentation on Saturday. And keep up the great work that you're doing for the state. And the NAACP will, always hold you in high esteem.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. And I do enjoy it every time you invite me on. I'm glad to give the information that is needed.
Absolutely. And for our listening audience, thank you for tuning in. And until next week, hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you next week.
You have been listening to the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwenette Westbrooks and Mr. Dumas. Come join us next Monday at 4 o'clock p.m. on 980 WDDO.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.